Well, hello and welcome again. We're going to attempt this week to make takeout fried rice. And I know my handwriting's awful, but we have here the ingredients. So obviously if you're going to be making this at home, and you've gone to the source of this video, you have the recipe attached. So just follow the recipe. I've changed a few things. I forgot green onions, so if you want to put green onions in, go ahead and do so. But the ingredients we have here, most of you probably have them in your kitchen. We have 3 tablespoons of butter, 2 eggs, which you'll need to whisk and fry and scramble, 2 carrots, 1 onion, some frozen peas, some garlic, some cooked and chilled rice, which in the video we did before we made the fried rice, as well as soy sauce. And then the ingredient that a lot of you might not have is this one here. It's called oyster sauce. If you look at the ingredients, it's water and sugar and salt are the first 3, and then oyster extractives, which are actually made from oyster. But Madame Michelle, who's filming this, say hello, Madame.
Hello, Madame.
She would agree that oyster sauce tastes nothing like oysters. It doesn't have an oyster taste to it. In fact, it adds a lot of kind of nice umami flavors and really kind of nice saltiness and savoriness to your dish. Wouldn't you agree, Madame Michelle?
I do, yeah.
So the first thing you're going to do when you make your rice is you're going to, directions here, we have scrambled your eggs. So I've taken the liberty of scrambling the eggs before. So when you scramble your eggs, just make sure you put your 2 eggs into the bowl. Remember the little trick we taught you with, if you accidentally put shell in, you can dig the shell out with your other shell. And scramble them up, and then you'll have just a little dish of scrambled eggs that you can set aside. We're going to add that last to our dish. And here we have the rice that we cooked in the first video. It's been cooked and chilled. And we're going to use this. It's no longer hot. In fact, it's ice cold because we had it in the fridge. And that's going to be used. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to scramble those 2 eggs, set them aside. The second step is over medium-high heat. You're going to add garlic, onions, and carrots. So what we're going to do here is we're going to prep our onions and garlic and carrots, and we have them here. Remember when we talked about this, some of you might have heard me talk about how the onion grows. And if you hold an onion here, you can see, if you can look here, Madame Michelle, see those little parts there, and then this part here? Those are where the roots used to come out. And this is where the leaves used to come out of the ground. And at one point, the onion was storing all of its nutrients for the long, hard winter it was going to live. And it stored it in here for us. And of course, we're going to eat it. So when you cut, make sure your parents are there. If you're using a knife, do not cut by yourself. Make sure your parents are present. Use your pinch grip, which we taught you before. Pinch the knife. And we're going to use that bridge grip. So your onion's going to go down here. And all we're going to do is we're going to try and cut through this part here. So I'm going to cut, just going to notch it a little bit before I put any pressure. Once I've notched it, I'm going to take my hand away and press all the way down so I do not risk at all cutting my fingers. And if you did it properly, what you'll have is the little root end is going to be cut right in half, okay, because we don't want to touch that end. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut off, if we can consider this to be the North Pole and South Pole, we're going to cut off the North Pole.
Keep moving the onion.
So. And we're going to then strip away. We're going to leave the South Pole intact. We're not touching that root end at all. And all we're going to do is we're going to peel away one of the layers of the onion, okay? And we're going to leave that part on just like this, okay? So we're going to have it like that. And then we're going to do the same thing to things. So there's our onion. Cut off the North Pole.
People are going to get motion
You
sickness.
don't follow the whole way. You can step back just a bit if you want, just so they can see it. And then when we peel this away, oh, I gotta peel one more layer. Oh, I might have took too much there, but that's okay. You guys can do a better job than I just did. So what you're gonna end up with is 2 halves of onions with the peeling taken off. And you're going to have that root end, that South Pole, still attached. Now the reason why we're leaving that on there is because now what we're gonna do is very carefully, this is the most dangerous part. And when we made the stuffing, everybody did this. We're going to cut 2 little, not all the way through, we're going to go but that far in, right? And we're going to take our knife out, and then we're going to do it one more time, just a little bit higher up. We're going to put that far there, okay? And what we have then, when we look at that, is, if you look here, we have like kind of a layer. And then we're going to take our knife, and not going all the way through, we're going to go right about to there. So what we end up with is a whole bunch of fingers. And because we kept that root end in, then all of the onions are not going to fall apart. And now what we're going to do is when we do this part here, we're going to go straight down, and without crying, that's our garbage. And what we end up with is these perfectly diced onions, right? Nice, that's a fairly big dice. I'll make the other one, I'll make a little smaller. I'll make the finer dice here. So if you want to make it a little bit finer, instead of doing 2 layers, you can do 3 layers. Right? And we're gonna be very careful with our hands. Take your time. Do not do that without a parent around. And I'm gonna make just a few more, I mean, take a look at that. See how close together they are there? And the reason why we're doing it that way is this time when I go dice my onion, you can see here, because I went a little bit closer, see the difference in those? This would be a finer, this would be more of a chop really, and this would be more of a dice. And all we have to do, if you want to make it a little bit smaller, because we're not dealing with perfect here, you can just kind of keep your hand on top of the knife and just run it around it. Just make those pieces a little bit more uniform in size. And we have a beautifully diced onion. Okay, now, I'm gonna cry here, I'm so emotional. Come on over here, Michelle. Or Madame Michelle. We're gonna take our pan, and I have a high-sided, this is like a saute pan. It's got high sides and it's non-stick. If you have a non-stick pan at home, then you probably want to use a non-stick pan as opposed to a non-stick. What's a
Stainless steel.
A stainless steel pan, right? You want to use non-stick because it makes it a lot better. So here we have our pats of butter. Each one of these is a tablespoon. So we're going to put one of those in, and we're going to let that melt. You want to go take a look at that. And into that, once we're letting that melt, we'll kind of let that get to, oh, and by the way, we're at medium-high heat here, right? So on our stove, that would be medium, that would be high. So medium-high is around there. And all we're doing is we're just going to heat that butter down. Take it around, spread it all around here. And once we get that spread around, we're going to add our onions. Now let that kind of sweat down. Add our onions into here. Oh. Come on over here, we'll do our garlic next. So with our garlic, we have, this is a head of garlic. If I get the whole thing, a bulb or garlic or a head of garlic. And when you pull it apart, that's called a clove of garlic. So we're gonna take, how much is one, 2 or 3 cloves? 3 cloves. So we're gonna break this apart. And we're gonna take 3 cloves of garlic. Now this is kind of gets a little dangerous as well. So when you do this, make sure you're doing it with your parents. What I want you to do is take your knife or take anything and just kind of put a little bit of pressure like that onto your garlic clove. And when you do that, that skin is going to loosen and you'll be able to take that garlic and put it right there and do these things 2 more times. And you can see how the green is peeking out through that garlic. You know what that means, Madame Michelle?
That it's probably been here over the break.
It's been here quite a long time in our kitchen and it's starting to sprout. So it wants to grow into a new piece of garlic. And it's actually, it's not, if your garlic's doing that, what they say happens is it becomes a little bit more bitter, but we won't care. We're just gonna use it anyway because we're happy people. Now, I'm gonna do this by hand, but if you wanted to, you could actually use a garlic press, couldn't you? Mm-hmm. Right? So we're gonna just take this, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be very careful, and I'm gonna mince this, keeping my fingers out of the way until we get it to a rough chop. And then once I get it to there, I'm just gonna take my hand and put it on top, and we're gonna just do a rough chop here like this. With all those green little bits in there, that should be delicious. Just like chives. Now, is this how you chop garlic at home?
Yeah,
Now,
but
do you want-
I also use a garlic press.
Right. So I'm gonna take some of those little pieces out, the end pieces. I probably should have taken it before. They just look, they still taste like garlic, but they're a little less appealing looking. We're gonna put that in with our onions. Give that a little stir. And remember, we're not frying these, I want to put that down to a little bit more because it's a little too brown for it. We're just kind of softening them, so we're getting them so that they become a little translucent, right? So let that go. And the last step is we're gonna peel our carrot. So when you peel your carrot, remember what we said, you can do it on the counter if you want. My hands are nice and big and I've done about 1 million carrots. So when I peel them, I can do it just like that. And remember, you have a little bowl here for all your garbage. And cut the top and the bottom off. Now this is where it gets a little dangerous. Now see how that's a little wobbly, Madame? Mm-hmm. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut them into more manageable pieces. And I'm gonna cut straight down there, one of those little pieces off. Now the reason why I did that is because now, when it sits down that side there, it's a lot more level, and it doesn't wobble as much. And I'm just gonna do that again, very careful. Take those two, and then that way, when I do the next step, right, when I do this next step, I can take these, I'm gonna make them into little sheets, just like that. All right, and then I'm going to then take these, and I'm going to put them onto its back, and I'm gonna do the same thing again, just like that. And then guess what I'm gonna do, madame?
I bet you're gonna cut something again.
I'm going to do it one more time. Very careful to do it, 'cause I don't want to cut your fingers off, or my fingers off on a video. That'd make a terrible video.
That would be, but I'm going to stir that.
Thank you.
Yeah.